Hi, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your True Shelf. Today I'm filming a haul video. I didn't really think I had much in the way of hauls, but then when I actually added it up there was quite a few, and a lot of them are on my Kindle. They haven't actually been hauled very recently, but I always tend to forget when I'm doing a haul video what I've bought on my Kindle. So I've got quite a few. Most of these were either deal of the day or cheap, because I tend to check my wish list and see if there's any sale prices on the stuff that's on my huge great wish list, and if there's anything at a reasonable price I then tend to buy it at that time. So first of all, I'll do the actual physical books. These were very kindly both sent to me by Charlie Brick, who's one of my lovely friends who from BookTube. She sent me both of these, which she often does, and is super kind of her. So the first one that she sent me is 84 Charing Road by Helen Hanff. This is a memoir, and this is set initially in 1949 when Helen Hanff writes to a bookshop at 84 Charing Road in New York. And she, was it in New York? Maybe it's in London, sorry, it's in London. She's in New York. And she's asked for some rare edition books to be sent to her, which they are. And then she enters into a correspondence with the owner called Frank. He is in England, she's in New York, and they have like I think it says 20-year correspondence, and develop a friendship across continents. So this one sounds really cozy. Love books about books. So yeah, and I like a memoir as well. And then the other book that she sent me, which is so kind because it's a new book and it's a hardback. This is one that I heard Simon Savage say is going to his favourite books of all time list, so that's quite a recommendation. And this is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. So this is set in slavery times in the Deep South, and it's about two slaves. One of them is called Isaiah and one of them is called Samuel, and they are in love. They're in a relationship. They've been in a relationship for a long time, and it's accepted by the other slaves. And then one of the slaves, I think he might be a slave master, decides to start preaching from the Bible, and then he declares that their relationship is sinful, and it basically rips the plantation apart. People start turning against them, and I think this is quite heartbreaking, but like really deep, and I love a good love story. So yeah, this one sounds fascinating but probably heartbreaking at the same time. So that's the two physical books I have. So then I will put pictures of the covers of all the others that I've got. So the first one is called Skint Estate by Carraway. This is a non-fiction. This is a memoir about a working class single mum who is in temporary accommodation, and the blurb sort of talks about how she's seen as like sort of a stain on society, the lowest of the low, that kind of thing. And it's about actually who she is and what her life is like living in temporary accommodation and being a single mum. And I think that it's important, like whatever our position is in life, that we learn about what it's like for other people in different circumstances to ourselves, in order to promote empathy and understanding and learning. You know, just because we're in a certain position in life, it's really I think really important to learn about other people's experiences, because we can take stuff away from that to learn ourselves, and it will alter how we understand other people and empathise with them and their situations. The second one that I've got is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. So this is a thriller that I've heard quite a bit about on BookTube. I think that Meera from Meera Reads really liked it. I think, was it Emma from Drinking By My Shelf also liked it? Someone else liked it as well. This is a novel about gentrification in Brooklyn. So that it's about a main character who has lived in Brooklyn for her whole life, and slowly all of the things that she's familiar with are disappearing. So the people that she grew up with are moving away. People are wealthier people are coming into the area and buying up property, and there's delis and things appearing instead of her normal shops. And she's getting a bit fed up of everything, and she decides to start a walking tour of the area where she lives. And she meets one of her neighbours, and then they uncover some really dark stuff. So, like, are people actually moving away, or are they disappearing? So it sounds really kind of dark and exciting, as well as addressing an important issue about gentrification of areas where people have lived their whole lives. So the next one, which I actually just bought this morning, is The Confession by Jessie Burton. So this is about a lady called Elise, and she meets a writer called Constance, or Connie, and she kind of falls for her. She's really like sophisticated and... Hi, darling. So she makes an impulsive decision and goes to LA, and then 30 years later her daughter Rose is trying to find out what happened to her mum, and I think Connie has become a reclusive writer, and Rose has to go and find Connie and try and find out like what exactly went down and what's happened to her mum. So it sounds, I'm like, this is Jessie Burton's third book. I've read her first two and absolutely loved them both, so I'm really excited to read her third one. And it's really nice to find an author who I'm kind of keeping up with their works as they're released as well, because often you sort of find a new author and they've got like a big back catalogue and stuff, so it's nice to be sort of keeping up with Jessie Burton's works because I love them so much. The next one is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, another one which has had quite a lot of buzz on BookTube. This is a YA book. It's, the main character is called Ziamara. She's quite a fierce character. She grows up in Harlem. I think she's probably like in quite a tough neighbourhood from the sounds of the blurb. And she keeps a secret. In her notebook she writes poetry, and she doesn't tell anyone, and she then goes to a slam poetry contest, and she starts like finding out who she is and finding her voice basically through the slam poetry. I think this is all written in verse as well, which I read one by Sarah Crossan, which was written in verse, and I loved that, so that's cool as well. The next one I have is called Grace After Midnight by Felicia Pearson. So I came about this book because Sam and I have been watching The Wire, which is like a TV show with 5 seasons. The last one was in 2008, and we started watching them years and years ago when they first came out. So we watched season 1, 2 and 3, and I don't know what happened. We never watched series 4 and 5. So we're now on season 5, and we've been like hooked on it every night. And I found, so Felicia is in The Wire. She plays a really like a murderess basically. So she goes around and assassinates people in The Wire. And I just like, sometimes I like to research a little bit about the actors who play the characters. And then I saw that she had a book, and it sounded really interesting. So this book is her memoir. She was born as a crack baby, and she was only £3 when she was born. She grew up in care, and because her parents were both drug addicts, and she ended up being like on the street corners and being a drug dealer. She ended up killing another woman in self-defense and went to prison for that. And then when she came out of prison, one of her childhood mentors was killed, and she decided that she wanted to turn her life around. And it so happened that she was in a club when the people who were making The Wire were trying to recruit people to be in it. And it's set in Baltimore, which is where she's from. And she was recruited for this role as a character called Snoop in The Wire. And so I just thought that it sounded really fascinating how The Wire and her life are quite similar, and how she's like turned her life around as well to be like I guess like a positive role model in that situation. So I think that's going to be really intriguing. I'm really looking forward to reading it. And the next book I got is a cookbook, which is good because this fulfills one of the prompts also from the Reading Women's Challenge for a cookbook by a woman of colour. And this is Fresh India by Meera Sodha. So I love Indian food, and so it's really nice to find authentic recipes. These are all vegetarian and some vegan. So obviously, like, I'm only going to make the vegan stuff, but it might be that I could adapt the vegetarian stuff as well. and it's got like, it sounds amazing. Like, I looked through all of the kind of the recipe samples when I looked at the sample, and they look so delicious. So there's kind of like snacks and side dishes and main dishes and lunches and all different stuff like that. And just not at the moment, sweetie. And Mum's just not right now because Mum's just forming. So I'm really looking forward to making some of the recipes from that as well. That will be really fun. I then bought Take a Hint Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. So this is another one that's been quite buzzy on BookTube. This is a second in a series, so I think they can all be read as standalones, but the Brown sisters. So I read Get a Life, who's the first one? Chloe Brown, Get a Life Chloe Brown, last year, and I loved it. And this is Take a Hint Dani Brown. So this is Dani is Chloe's sister. This is a romance. It basically starts when I think Dani is stuck in a lift in her workplace when there's a fire drill or something, and then a security guard like comes in, rescues her from the lift, and as he takes her out the lift, there's all this press there, and people are like, it goes a bit viral, I think. People are kind of like wanting them to have a love story, and so they decide to fake date, and then I guess that turns into like a real romance kind of, you know, you can see it coming. But I'm really excited to read it because I loved the first one. And then the last one on my list sounds so exciting. So this is called Slay by Brittney Morris. This is Black Panther meets Ready Player One in the description, and I loved Ready Player One, and I really want to see Black Panther. So this is about a 17-year-old student called Kira, and she has secretly designed a game called Slay, and it's a card game online with secret identities, and she nobody knows that she's the developer, and she plays one night with like loads of people online, and then in real life there's a dispute over Slay and a teenager is murdered, and then it's labelled as like a racist hub for thugs, and she needs to try and fight to protect Slay and also herself, because nobody knows who she really is, not even her boyfriend. So this sounds really, really cool, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. I just feel like all of these books I've just talked about, I'm so excited to read them all. I really do want to make an effort to read these ones as a priority, because otherwise they'll just like hang out on my shelves for ages, and I've just got so much choice, which I know is a privileged thing to have, but because of that, like, things can disappear down a black hole for a while. So I really want to get to these. I'm sticking with my resolution so far of reading at least one book a month on my Kindle. So I've already picked the one for February, which I'll talk about in my like reads and wrap-ups video, which will probably be my next one. So if you've read any of these, or you're excited to read any of these, let me know. It'd be really nice to hear from you in the comments if you've got something nice to say. I hope that you're having a nice week. It's kind of gloomy, rainy, cold English weather here, but it's supposed to get a bit warmer and a bit sunshine at the weekend, which is nice. So yes, so I hope you're all having a lovely week, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.